Get some tea, get cozy, and let's catch up. Basically, I'm gonna read from the questions you sent me on Instagram when I asked you the other day. So let's get started. So first question is, how long have you been in Copenhagen and how long were you in London? So I lived in London for 9 years and I've moved to Copenhagen last September, which means that I've been here for 6 months, about 6 months now. How's life in Copenhagen? That's a very generic one. Life in Copenhagen is nice, it's very chill. The weather can be a bit tough, especially if you're not used to the weather of the North European countries. But yeah, life is generally interesting, it's nice, it's as quiet and as vivid as it should be, but I guess that depends on the person. For some people it might be too quiet, but then on the other hand is life here is more lively than the other Nordic capitals' life, if that makes any sense. What are your must-go-to restaurants in Copenhagen? Well, to be honest, I don't have any must-goes yet because I haven't been out that much, surprisingly. Life has been so busy since I moved that I didn't get to explore many places, to be honest. And whenever I'm going out so far, I tend to go to mostly the same places that I tried, I liked, and I know that I'm gonna have a good time and good beer or good food. So far I don't have any specific recommendations. There are a lot of trendy places in Copenhagen, a lot that I see on Instagram and YouTube, but even so, I think that some of them are just super popular because of social media and sometimes they're not worth the hype. So I would recommend always reading Google reviews first. That's what I do, at least, because sometimes, yeah, it might be like super cute and nice decor, but the food might not be that good, or maybe it's overpriced. But having said that, there are a couple of craft beer places that I like Tap House and Norrebro Brygghus, Reffen during the summer. And also, of course, the Gasoline Burger is a must try, I guess, for me if you're visiting here for the first time, because its burgers are so popular and if you ask me, they are worth the hype. In terms of value for money, do supermarkets in Copenhagen beat supermarkets in London? Ooh, supermarkets are a big topic here because all internationals are very, very, very disappointed in the Danish supermarkets. So to give a short answer, no, supermarkets here don't beat any supermarkets in Europe, I believe. I haven't been in all of Europe, but wherever I've been so far, it's better. Supermarkets are better than here. And the problem is that supermarkets here don't have enough variety, don't have enough brands, don't have big quantities of stuff. You mostly find half a kilo of pasta or less than half a kilo of rice, or basically maximum you find half a kilo of anything or even less. And sometimes this happens for stuff that normally you would find also in bigger quantities. And also like not having variety, for example, in peanut butter or pasta and rice and I don't know, like plant-based milks, which you find everywhere now in other countries in so many different shapes and forms. But here they have like a couple of each thing And that's it. Also, supermarkets in Denmark are very, very expensive. I guess not as expensive maybe as in Sweden or Norway, but still they're quite expensive. And the quality depends on what you get. Sometimes you find like super tasty stuff, and some stuff are literally tasteless. So it's a bit of hit or miss, and then knowing where to go to get what. But I would say the supermarkets in the UK, oh my god, it was an oasis and so much cheaper than here. So yep, definitely prefer the supermarkets in the UK. Based on your experience, what are some of the similarities and differences between these cities? Meaning London and Copenhagen. Roughly, I'm just gonna say anything that pops into my head right now and not get into it that much, because we might do another video on that in the future. But I would say similarities and differences. Yes, it's the capital. Yes, quite a lot of stuff are happening because it's the capital, like cultural events, exhibitions, light festivals in February, and a lot of tourists. Everyone speaks fluent English here, as in London. These are some sort of similarities. Oh, and also very important, the weather is very, very similar, because there's only about like 3 to 4 degrees difference always, with London being like 3 or 4 degrees higher than Copenhagen. But whenever, because I've been monitoring the weather before I moved here for almost a year, and almost every day, obsessively. So what I found is that when it rains here, it rains in London. When it's cloudy here, it's cloudy in London. When it's sunny here, it's sunny in London, etc. But I find that here we've had a few more sunny days than we had back in London, especially during the winter, which I find very interesting. And also we've had sunny days that were sunny all day long, and not just spells of sun like for 1 or 2 hours and then you're back in the grey clouds again. But other than that, differences, I think Copenhagen is definitely one of the most zen and chill cities I've ever seen in my life. The difference in the vibe and chillness is huge, because London is a metropolis, right? So metropolis can be very stressful, very hectic, chaotic. You constantly run, and you're on the move. Here, because it's so much smaller, the city, people are more chill. It doesn't take them that long to commute to work or wherever they're going. So you don't see people like constantly running and being in a rush. What strikes you, especially if you've been to both these cities, is that people in Copenhagen are so stylish. Like, it's literally they've popped out of a fashion magazine catalog, and they dress in this Nordic style, which is like all-time classic. It's their own style, but it's crazy like how well dressed everyone is here, especially compared to London. And it strikes me every time, because even when they're biking in bad weather, they're still gonna be wearing nice clothes and hats and scarves and nice shoes, and no matter the weather and the conditions. And I still wonder, like, if you are from Denmark, please tell me, how do you maintain your clothes so clean, and how do you manage to be so stylish even when there's mud and rain and wind? But also in terms of differences, there are a lot less jobs here and a lot less variety. I don't know, London is the mecca of technology and jobs. It's like the center of Europe in terms of what's happening and what new is going on. Everything is happening there first. So yeah, it feels like I've gone a bit back in time sometimes, maybe like 10 years back. But other than that, it's fine and it's nice. It's still a capital city. do you miss London? I knew this question was gonna come, and I'll definitely make a video about why I left and how does London compare to Copenhagen, and if I miss London, etc, etc. But to cut to the chase, I do miss London, yes and no. Sometimes I miss it, but I always miss specific things, and those were the things that I did like while I was there, and thankfully I don't miss the things I left because of, if that makes any sense. So I don't miss the chaos, I don't miss the long distances, I don't miss like the constantly moving houses and changing jobs and blah 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 blah, and everything moving and changing so fast all the time. Yes, variety and choice and options are amazing, but at the same time I don't miss this feeling of temporary that I always had in London. I miss some places, I miss the museums. Oh my god, I love London museums. I miss the people sometimes. I miss the variety of jobs. I miss some of my favorite restaurants and go-to places, like Seven Dials Market. My friends are gonna laugh now. But other than that, I don't miss that much. Like, I always call London home. It's always gonna be my second home, unless I get to live more years in Denmark than I have lived in London, I guess. Yeah, it always gonna feel like more like home. How do you find a job in Copenhagen, and how is it career-wise? So finding a job in Copenhagen is, I think, not as intuitive and easy as it is in other capital cities. And the reason is because they have this culture here, this job culture, that you have to network a lot, and you have to make connections, you have to speak to people, you have to call them, email them, go in person. If you just send an application, for the most part, they're not even gonna reply to you, which I find very strange compared to other experiences I've had in the past. So that makes things a lot harder, and because you're not gonna have the same chance as somebody who has a lot of connections. And also it takes so much more energy, effort and time, because you have to send that application, but you have to do a lot of stuff on top of that, if that makes any sense. So be prepared for that if you are planning on moving to Denmark. And in terms of careers, yes, there are opportunities here, there are companies here. Also the tech scene is growing if you are into tech, but at the same time it's not a big career city, if you know what I mean. This is London, it's not Copenhagen. People here have a lot more work-life balance, so they're not necessarily like focused on progressing and advancing and changing jobs to progress and climb that career ladder. It's not like that, and you won't find that many opportunities to do that here anyway, because the job market is a lot more limited. I would research a lot if I were you before I came to Copenhagen to live here. I would see how many opportunities you could get in your particular career field before coming here, maybe contacting some companies, see if they get back to you, or see if you have people here that can help you and guide you in this move, or before you make that move. One more question that I get a lot and I've gotten from many people, and it is, how expensive is Copenhagen? This is the burning question, and I'll say that Copenhagen is the 4th most expensive city to live in Europe right now. Correct me if I'm wrong. The cost of living here is higher than London, although London is also a very, very expensive city. But then a lot of things come into play if you read about how the cost of living is calculated. Very, very briefly, rents in London are much higher and transportation costs are much higher, but many things are similar, like the cost of getting a haircut or having a beer or a coffee. That's similar, but I find that rents here are just a bit less expensive than London, but at the same time supermarkets are more expensive and going out is much more expensive, and basically you also have to pay for a few stuff that you wouldn't pay for in the UK, like the museums and I don't know, getting help from Citizens Advice for some legal matter, or I don't know, like, so it depends, but definitely compared to the salary you get here after tax, the city can be much more expensive, comparing what you're left with after you've paid all of your expenses from your salary, and compare that to London's cost of living. So that's the Q&A for now. Let me know if you enjoyed it, because if you did, then we can have those maybe once in a while, every 6 months or so. So please let me know in the comments if you find this boring or if you found it interesting and you want to have this again. If you enjoyed, please like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!